Live.
Good evening, members and members of the public, and welcome to this Central Area Planning Committee meeting on Wednesday, the 22nd of October 2025. My name is Councillor Paula Spenceley and I'm the chairperson of this committee. Members, we are streaming this meeting live as well as recording, and by being present in the meeting, you are giving your consent to being recorded. During each item, please put your hand up to indicate if you wish to speak. I will then invite you at the appropriate time. Could I ask members to avoid approaching the top table, please, as this could create interference with the cameras and live stream. Please note that the YouTube live stream sound recording is dependent on the correct use of the microphones. Therefore, can I ask that when invited to speak, you remember to turn on your microphone and turn it off as soon as you're finished so that the next person can use theirs. Please reference the page or paragraph number when referring to the agenda papers and keep your contributions as clear and as concise as possible. So we're going to move on to item 2, which is apologies for absence. Clerk, do I have any apologies, please?
Thank you, Chair. There have been no apologies received.
Thank you very much indeed. Nice to see. Thank you very much, Clerk. So we move on to the minutes. It is recommended that the minutes of the meeting held on the 24th of September 2025, which you can find on pages 7 to 12, are approved as a true and accurate record. I so move. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Driver, thank you. Okay, can we agree those by consent, please? Thank you. Assent even. Okay, declarations of interest. So this is, as you know, to check the existence and nature of any disclosable pecuniary interests, other registrable interests and registrable interests relating to items of business on the agenda having regard to paragraph 9 and appendix B of the Code of Conduct for members. Members are reminded that they are also required to disclose any such interest as soon as they become aware, should the need arise through the meeting. So we move on to item 5, which is, we have a report. I'll read out the full item number. Sorry.
I do have a declaration of interest that I both know the applicant for Bates Road. Yes. And also the objector as well. So I should declare both of those.
Thank you very much, Councillor Burrell-Cook. That's been noted. Thank you. Do I have any other declarations of interest? There's me assuming that we wouldn't have any almost. No? Good. Okay. So item 5, report 25/00605 full land adjacent Heybridge House Industrial Estate, Bates Road in Maldon. Mr. Purvis, we have here, our officer. Could you please present the report? Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. Right, this application seeks planning permission for the storage of empty bins, empty skips and lorries associated with Green's recycling business, which is located at the eastern end of Bates Road. The use is already in operation at the site, so this application looks to regularise that through achieving a planning permission via this application. Although not part of this application, just to make members aware, the site is subject to an enforcement notice as well that was served in July, just before the application came in. That enforcement notice is currently live, subject to a live planning appeal, and that's separate from this application, just so you're aware, and would be determined by the planning inspectorate. So moving on to the planning application. So this is the location plan. The red line shows the sites. It's just to the north of Bates Road, off a little road that accesses here and accesses a car park to the east, some industrial units to the south, and then you've got some residential, there's a pub over here, as well as some mixed uses along the street as it leads into Hall Road. There's an aerial photo of the site, showing what was on the site when this aerial photo was taken, so I don't have a date for that. But there, as you can see, there is some activity on the site at this point in time. This is the block plan, shows the layout of the site, should say it's the proposed layout of the site, and there is an additional condition in the members update requiring the layout, because it's not quite like that at the moment, as you'll see from the photos, but that layout will need to be adhered to and implemented within 2 years of a planning permission being granted. That's what that additional condition on your members' updates for. And this block plan shows how the vehicles would move in and out of the site, servicing those areas where the storage areas would be created. And there's just an elevational plan that's actually showing sort of looking towards the south as you come into the site. That's a series of bins that are shown on this elevation. So moving on to the site photos, this is the entrance just there on the left past that lamp column. Car park, as I mentioned, is to the right, a car park, it's not part of this development. Palisade fencing all around most of the side boundaries, and there's some post and wire fencing along this side, and a footpath that runs along that side. There's a footpath that runs along the rear, around the east and around the north of the site, linking into Hall Road. This is an image to show the entrance looking west into the site, and here are some collection of photos to show what's on the site. So there's the bin storage as you go in on the left. There are some skips stored on the site as well, hard stand that's been created. Another image that's looking north in regard to the sites. Just out, this image and the previous one were taken just along the footpath, just outside the site. It's on a slightly raised embankment at this point as well. So the site just dropped down slightly as a lower ground level than this one. And there's one of the neighbouring industrial units to the south in Bates Road, and that's the rear. It's the footpath again, but that's the rear of some other units just to the south as well, further along to the west of the site. Now this image is taken from the northern boundary of the site. So what we're trying to do here is show the northern boundary in terms of palisade fencing, the footpath that leads on. If you carry on, it goes right and links up to Hall Road. You've then got a load of vegetation and landscaping. There is the River Blackwater, which is it's like a stream, but it's probably quite a wide stream at that point in time. And then you've got the rear boundaries of residential properties and a pub. And you can probably just make out that's the rear elevation of a property in the distance there. I mean, they've got a back garden between the rear boundary and that elevation, just so you're aware. And this plan just gives you an idea of the dimensions to those uses and those buildings. So you've got 12 metres boundary to boundary and a 21 metre boundary to boundary distance there. And then there's it says 21 metres to the rear elevation of those properties there, residential properties that are in that location. So just to summarise, the application is recommended for approval. The principal development is not considered contrary to policy. The site is in a flood zone. It's in what's called the functional flood zone. That's 3B in terms of how it's set out in the National Planning Policy Guidance. But the environment actually have no objection to this use because it's a less vulnerable use. There's not people working there all the time. It's used for storage. People go there with clean bins. They're stored there, and the skips, and they're taken to and from the site. So there's not a presence on site all the time. The photos kind of indicated that as well. It has limited public impact in terms of where it is in the industrial area. You can see it obviously from the public footpath and various vantage points. So it's considered acceptable as well in relation to those neighbouring uses, environmental health, and there's other consultees have been subject to considering this application, so we don't have objections to it. And the recommendation is for approval and subject to the conditions in the report and the additional one on the members' update. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Mr. Purvis. Okay, so we do have some public speakers tonight. First of all, I'd like to call forward Mr. Leanne Webb to speak as an objector to this development. So we've got our clock up. Thank you, Clark. So I do stick quite strictly to the 2 minutes, Mr. Webb, but I'll let you get yourself comfortable. And Councillor Lagan, perhaps you could assist Mr. Webb. And it'll start when you start speaking, Mr. Webb.
Thank you, members. So obviously I'm here to object. This site, as you'll know, has been ongoing for many years. It previously was a nature reserve type site with lots of vegetation, wildlife on the site. This site was cleared. It came in over a weekend with diggers and tree cutting equipment, fences erected. There was an old substation has been put on there, which is a building on site. It's not a substation. Planning refusals have all gone in, but the site is carried on regardless. So you say about the use, but the use actually is an unauthorised use. There is, as you said, a current enforcement notice in place. and actually it's stated on there that the application would need noise mitigations and a SUD scheme, because there's the actual site floods fluvially there. So the planning officer has actually gone against his own enforcement notice, because none of the noise mitigation has been done for my property, to the back of my property which is affected, and there's no SUD scheme. So material considerations, I believe, are impact on noise and pollution. There's no noise mitigation. Previous applications showed acoustic fence and planting. It's less than 10 metres from my house. That plan is actually wrong on there, which said the 12 metres. Multiple complaints I've put into enforcement, and that's also gone into environmental health. Very little of these have been dealt with. There's a massive site there, potentially go the other side. It's literally right behind my property, why it needs to be there. Impact on the environment, obviously, as you've described, it's a floodplain, which is a high-risk flood area. There's no sequential exception tests been carried out, and I believe that's not in accordance to policy D5 and S1 of local development plan, because it actually says in there that it needs a sequential exceptions test. It also should be located away from a high-risk flood area, S1. This is also against national planning policy, and the Environment Agency objections, Environment Agency comments actually said on there that it should be considered on there. There's loss of nature reserve, loss of trees.
I have to stop you there. Thank you, Mr. Webb, because your 2 minutes are up. Thank you very much. So I'd now like to ask our next public speaker, Robert Smith, the applicant, to come forward, please. Thank you, sir. Again, I'll let you get yourself comfortable, Mr. Smith, and the clock won't start until you start speaking.
Are we live?
We are indeed.
I am Robert Smith. I started green recycling with one dust cart 24 years ago in Bates Road, Maldon. Today we employ 50 local people and provide waste disposal to 90% of Maldon's offices, schools, factories and shops. We provide bins for Heybridge Parish Council and process all the pink recycling sacks from every single home in Maldon. I believe that we are a key part of Maldon life, but we are regarded as noisy, smelly, dusty, just because of what we do. People love what we do, but they just don't want it anywhere near them. We are a modern, professional, clean company with the most technical recycling process in the UK. But we need room to grow and improve and store our bins and equipment. The bins that we store on this site are mainly new, are always clean, so there is no smell. We have addressed the noise complaints by limiting our access from 7 AM to 6 PM. We've taken out comprehensive and expensive flood risk assessment, and the Environment Agency have no objections. Your own town council have no objections, and Maldon District Council have recommended approval. We have addressed biodiversity by reducing the red working area. Now, with over 50% of the site in question will remain as trees and grass. No lights will be put up to create any light pollution. I would like you all to look on this favourably. It helps local jobs, it helps us to improve everyone's environment and increase the recycling in Maldon.
Thank you very much, Mr. Smith. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. So, members, we've heard from two public speakers there. I now invite you to put any questions or make any comments you have on the report. So I have Councillor Spenceley first.
Yeah, I've got some questions for Mr. Purvis. So what I'll do is read out all the questions, if I may, and if you kind of note them and then answer at the end, and then I may come back. So first issue, the members' update that came round said that the time frame for the new layout was 2 months, not 2 years. So perhaps you can check that and confirm that the written version is correct, not what you said in your presentation. Secondly, sounds a trivial point, but you refer throughout to greens recycling in the report. So that's simply, we're all talking about green recycling, but throughout it's referred to as greens recycling. So there's no need to respond to that one. Point 3.1.2, you say that the nearest residential property is 10 metres from the site and around 20 metres from the building proposed. So what I'd like is to know what this building proposed is, because as far as I can see, there aren't any buildings proposed. So I was a bit baffled by that reference. 3.1.4, it says that the bins are anchored to the ground to ensure that they would not float or leave the site boundaries in the event of a flood. So on that question, I'd like you to take us to the pictures and point out the securing cables, chains and bolts, rings or lugs on the ground for these bins. I'll just go through. Minor point again, bins and skips 5.2.2 are all a stark green colour, but just a point of accuracy, the blue, the newspaper and magazine recycling bins which line the perimeter currently are blue. That's relatively trivial. And then a final kind of general question, if you could go through what visits have been conducted to verify the points that have been raised by complainants or commentators with regards to ecology, nuisance, various complaints that have been raised, that would be really helpful. Thank you.
I'll let you respond, Mr. Purvis.
Thank you. Just making a note.
No, of course, take your time, Mr. Purvis. Are there any other members while we're waiting who would want to note that? Thank you. Thank you, Councillor. Thank you, Mr. Purvis.
Thank you, Chair. So the first question, apologies if I said 2 years, it's 2 months as per the members' update. Condition, the additional condition, condition 9, within 2 months of the date of the planning permission. So that's the trigger point and time period for the layouts and plans that you've seen on the presentation today to be implemented on site. Greens recycling, as far as I'm aware, that's what's on the bins, and the applicant is Mr. Robert Smith of CSH Environmental. So that's just to clarify that point, if that's it in terms of who the applicant is.
Sorry, it's green, not greens.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Right, okay. The distances, these are measured from the Ordnance Survey map, so these are accurate measurements from the Ordnance Survey. The distance is shown as 21 metres to one of those rear boundaries, 12 to another. That's how it's been measured on the Ordnance Survey map.
Sorry if I can come back. The specific point was it says 20 metres from the building proposed. So I just wondered what building you're referring to.
Sorry, there isn't a building proposed. There was a. Sorry,
that's an error, is it?
There's an error in the description. I didn't see it.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, there's no building proposed. So it is all open storage.
That might have been a reference to the previous applications for an open-sided Dutch barn, perhaps.
That's in the history, yes.
Report. Yes.
3.4. Oh, so the anchorage. I did liaise with the applicant on this and the agent. I understand there are some chains in place. I don't think they're particularly that clear from these photos, unfortunately, but I understand they are chained down and chained and linked together, so they are one mass. So if there is a flood event, they're all not going to be floating away individually or anything like that. And I understand there's going to be more installed as part of the plans in terms of laying out the site to ensure that there's that security for those bins. Next point. Sorry, can you just remind me what you said about
Oh,
5.2.2?
sorry, yes, it was just verification of what visits have taken place to verify various aspects of.
I've been to the site 3 or 4 times to see the site and take these photos, and I even went there earlier today as well to get that shot, that photo you saw, because I'm obviously aware of from what the objections we've received from the neighbours. So I obviously just wanted to make that clear and help the committee by taking this photo to give you an idea of the separation between the rear boundary fences, the vegetation, the footpath, and the as I say, the rear boundary of the site, just so you got an idea there. So that was another visit today. You mentioned nuisance. That's not under planning in terms of nuisance. That's environmental health that have investigated that, and I'm aware there have been environmental health investigations as well as planning enforcement investigations on this site as well. In terms of the ecology, because this is a retrospective application, things like biodiversity net gain are not required, and given the scale of this development anyway, it wouldn't warrant any ecology. Where the red line is drawn, it's all hard standing area of the sites. You might notice the red line was amended during the life of the application, was slightly bigger, it's been reduced, but even so, this application doesn't warrant the requirement for a full-blown ecological assessment for this type of application. I think that's all your points, is it?
Councillor Spencer, I'll allow you to come back quickly and then I'll move on to
thank you.
Councillor Lagan.
Yeah, I'm just going to pick up one issue. I visited the site a couple of times, including this morning. With regards to the anchorage of the skips, this is a high-risk flood area, and the assessment by the officers and the Environment Agency is based around human risk in terms of there's no one living there, and workers can be evacuated quite quickly. But the report itself acknowledges there could be a risk from flood in terms of bins and skips breaking free. I couldn't see any indication of anchorage whatsoever at any part of the site on any of the different types of bins and skips, ranging from full-size skips to large bins, sort of quadruple size, right through to domestic bins. And just very briefly, sorry, Chair, skips can float, and they would represent a hazard.
No,
Thank you.
take your points on board, Councillor Spenceley, and we'll come back to that. Councillor Purvis, is there any more you wish to say? Sorry, Councillor, Mr. Purvis, is there any more you wish to say?
Just on the concerns from members in terms of the bins not being secured to the ground, and what we could do, just to assist members here, is add another planning condition requiring the details of the anchorage to be provided for us to review and then agree to that. Then it will be installed within a set period of time to ensure that when the site is developed, as the layout plan showed, that all those details are in there and it's clear. And if needs be, if anyone's concerned still, we can then inspect it in the future to make sure it's all in place. In case there was a flood event, things are all anchored down and fastened down.
Thank you, Mr. Purvis. Councillor Lagan.
Thank you, Chair. Just a couple of things. It's quite interesting that we're operating now, but we could look at putting controls in place going forward. What happens if something happens now as we enter into the winter season where we get good sized spring tides? Noise is a big issue, and Mr. Smith is right. He's built a fantastic business over the years, and a much needed business. But that doesn't mean that where there's a negative impact on residents close, that we shouldn't consider that. It's very difficult because waste, being an ex-waste manager and working on the bins myself, I get it. But you've got to think of the loss that you're going to bring in. You've got your habitat ecology. You have got a flood risk. It's since Heybridge Creek was dammed many years ago by the roundabout down there. It's a 3B flood risk, and it will flood, so that whole area will go. So the more open that area actually is, the safer it is for the houses that abut those areas. So they're real concerns within that. I think that the lorry movements, 7 a.m. to 6 p.m, that's quite a long time, you know, because they're by their nature, the beast, they have to be big trucks. I don't know how big they actually are, the 22 ton or whatever compaction, I don't know. But it raises concerns that there is enforcement, and we're still able to look at approving something that could cause issues. And I think you take that picture there, you've got the footpath that leads about to the other businesses that go around there, like the Dayton Brewery and areas of that nature. So they're real concerns for me with regard to the principle of this development. And again, like Councillor Spenceley said, I think there are some things that really noise assessment is absolutely critical, I think, because quality of life is one of the core elements of the council's corporate plan, is it not? So if we don't stick to that, then there's no authenticity in that. So they're real comments more than questions, I think. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Lago. And I can see Councillor Driver's got his hand up there.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Concern has been raised about noise mitigation.
Yes.
Clearly, it is an industrial area, so this is not the only aspect of an industrial landscape within this area. And I wondered whether actually the noise mitigation that has been suggested is deemed by planners to be sufficient, given concerns that have been raised, and whether that's something that the planners might just reflect on or give us a view on. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. In terms of noise, I mean, this is an open outside storage use, so it's very difficult, unlike a building where you could insulate it for sound matters and things like that. It's very difficult to see how you can put noise mitigation in easily, other than perhaps things on lorries and things like that, in terms of reversing bleepers and things like that. But you're still going to get an element of noise from moving of bins and skips and picking things up and vehicles moving in and out of the site. But as you mentioned as well, it is in an industrial location. All the areas to the south are part of an industrial location, and there is a buffer, like you see on the one on the screen, but a buffer to some extent in terms of that the boundary of this site to those existing buildings and those existing uses and the amenities of those occupiers. And all I can do is come back to environmental health's comments, and they've been consulted more than once for this application. They've come back and they've not required anything in terms of noise mitigation. They've not requested for a noise assessment during the life of the planning application, and they don't have any objections to the application on noise grounds. So we've obviously progressed the application for a recommendation of approval because there is no objections from that on an amenity and a noise aspect point of view in regard to those points. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Purvis. I'm most disappointed that we don't have an environmental health officer here, because I had actually requested that we did. So I'm quite disappointed about that, I'm going to be quite honest. I have Councillor Jennings and then Councillor Dodsley. So I'll go to Councillor Jennings first.
Thank you, Chair. Can you just clarify about the cleaning of the bins and the close proximity to the Blackwater? Does it happen on this site? Does it happen on another site? Because how do we know what is going into the Blackwater if the bins are being cleaned from this site? Knowing what can go into bins, as in harmful substances, etc.
The green recycling use building and kind of depot further to the east, along the eastern end of Bates Road, is where all the activity happens in terms of cleaning the bins. All this site is being used for is storage. So vehicles coming in to drop the bins off that are all cleaned, and I've seen those on site. They're all clean bins and clean skips. They're all put on the site, cleaned. No process is undertaken there in terms of cleaning process, in terms of waste process or anything like that. It is literally putting the bins and skips down, and then when they need to be used again, picking them up on a lorry or a vehicle and then taking them off site. That's all that happens in terms of the storage of this site.
Councillor Dodsley.
Thank you, Chair. Just a question about the times. Mention was made earlier about the site being used between 7 a.m. and 6 p.m. I was just looking at the proposed conditions, and it mentions 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Is that just a change that's being proposed, or could I just get some clarity on that, please? Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. They are the planning conditions that we've put forward and have been agreed with the applicant and agent, are the conditions that are in the report. I wasn't aware it started at 7 until it was mentioned earlier today, but those are the conditions that, if planning permission is granted, will need to be adhered to. So 8 o'clock till 6 o'clock on weekdays and 8 o'clock till 1 o'clock on a Saturday, with no work or anything hours of use in terms of Sundays and public holidays.
Thank you. Have we got everybody in the room wants to speak, having spoken? So I've got my own comments to make. The picture that you have there, Mr. Purvis, I've visited the site. I have visited the site, as I would with any site that would come before me as chair, of course. And that doesn't really show, I fear, the proximity very well to some of those houses, because actually if you're at where the ditch runs along or the river runs along and the houses are behind, if you were to stand at the back of them and look forward, which is the shot we haven't got, I think that, I'm afraid to say, does give you rather a different picture, because, you know, it's quite obvious what the visual impact is, and I think also how close that is. And obviously when you take pictures, I appreciate it's really difficult to get that perspective, but I'm a little concerned that this perspective isn't really shown from that path looking out through those railings, because I think that would give people members in here, a slightly different perspective. There's a couple of things I want to say. Firstly, it's really nice, Mr. Smith. I've been to visit your facility, Mr. Smith, with other councillors, and I do appreciate how you've built your business and all the hard work that you've done. But I do also agree with Councillor Lagan that unfortunately isn't a planning consideration. And I know that you obviously face a difficult task there with people perhaps not wanting things, you know, in their immediate vicinity, but we do also have to bear in mind the impact on our residents. And I think those two things are a juxtaposition where we need to reach a reasonable point. I am a little bit concerned about some of the detail that we have in the report. I'm concerned that I don't have an environmental health officer here, because I would have liked to hear more on that, and I'm very wary about that. I'm also concerned that, you know, when I saw the site, you know, and it says in the report that lorries are going to be stored there, but there's certainly there is a lorry there at the moment, and there's certainly more than 2 metres high, which you talk about the bins being 2 metres high, but obviously lorries are a lot higher. I certainly didn't see any evidence of things being secured. I mean, whether they were underneath, I don't know, but there was certainly a lot of material on the site which certainly couldn't have been secured, such as some wheelie bins on their side, etc. So, and there was evidence of some water on the hard standing that had already gathered that wasn't there on the, and so that makes me very mindful of the flood risk. I don't know how members haven't had any proposals from the floor, and I'm really trying to gauge how members are minded with this, because we do have an officer recommendation to approve before us, and if I'm reading the room correctly, it's hard to gauge at the moment, and if we need a constitutional break, then obviously I don't want to take a vote before that if people are minded to go for refusal. So reading the room, I'm not entirely sure at the moment. So I think, and so I'm going to propose something completely different at this stage. I'm going to propose that we consider, Councillor Driver.
Well, we have a proposal before us, which is actually a recommendation that we accept this application. Okay. So I am prepared to propose that we accept the officer's recommendation. And
Councillor Burwood, you're going to second that? Okay. Well, in that case, I'll put that to the vote, and we'll see. Now, if we put it to the vote, of course, we have got the risk that it will fail. But anyway, we will therefore put that to the vote. So, members, can I have a show of hands, please, those who will agree with this proposal? Okay, and can I have a show of hands for those against? So I've got the casting vote. Oh, joy, deep joy. Okay. Well, I'll go against because that was my vote. This is why I didn't want to move straight away to the to the vote.
Thank you, Chair. As the vote has fallen, it would appear that members are minded to overturn the officer recommendation. This means that after the debate, what would happen is we invoke the constitutional break. What that means is we essentially defer the item to allow officers to consider and report back to a subsequent meeting of the committee. Now, just importantly to note for both members of the public and members that what happens when it is reported back is it's not a rerun of the application. So we don't have another officer presentation like we've had today. There's no opportunity for public speaking. It is purely an opportunity for you to consider how to proceed to a decision. So part of that, I would say that we've got an indication from the discussion today about where you might head in terms of reason for refusal. It might just be useful to understand, but before we actually do break, that we're looking for, it is reasons for refusal, and the grounds for that would be helpful to proceed with potential reasons to come
Councillor
back.
Lagan.
And I'm probably wrong because I often am. I thought that the constitutional break was invoked when members were minded to refuse, when a recommendation actually hasn't been formally levied in the chamber. Where this has gone to the chamber with the recommendation has been to overturn the officer's recommendation, therefore the application fails. We should have introduced the constitutional break before.
That's what I was trying to do.
Before that. So I think we probably need to double check that for completeness, but from my understanding, the constitutional break was to be able to get some more information to inform the decision making where members were minded to refuse. And it's really complicated.
Well, it is really complicated.
I think, and I very much stand to be corrected, that as soon as the application's gone and it's been voted upon in the chamber without a constitutional break, the decision of the committee is what it is.
Did we count? Can we check that we counted correctly?
It was 4-4.
4-4. 1, 2, 3. I'm just checking, sorry, that we've got this absolutely right. 4,
including yourself as one of 4.
4.
You've got the casting vote.
Yeah.
We've got a second vote to
1, 2, 3. Yeah.
Can I come back with
Yeah.
the wording? Yeah, just to clarify in terms of wording, it is where a planning committee is minded to overturn an officer recommendation of approval. The wording that I've got is that this means that after debate there must be a clear emerging view of a wish to overturn, and this may even involve a vote to that effect, which is my understanding of what we've done. You haven't at this stage taken a vote to refuse. It is just that you're minded to overturn. So the break, as it's shown, as it's intended, is then to initiate a deferment prior to that decision actually being made. So what could happen now is that you ask a show of hands to minded to go against officer recommendation, and if so, that the item be deferred and apply the constitutional break.
Councillor Lagan looks doubtful, I can see. Okay, I mean, it's semantics. So really what we were asking there was, were we minded to, because that's what I did preamble it with, to be fair. So there was a preamble to that effect, because I could tell that there was some uncertainty in the room and I didn't want to risk taking the vote prior, and I was actually going to propose that we had a site visit, but okay. So we've yes, okay. So we've got some good wording actually. Thank you very much, Mrs. Bradley. Members, please can I have a show of hands to confirm we are minded to go against the officer recommendation, just so that we've cleared that up. And if so, I shall defer this item and apply the constitutional break. Councillor Lagan.
Surely, because the recommendation was actually played, and I just want to make sure it's constitutionally correct.
No, I understand, Councillor Lagan, I
I
understand.
It's quite important that we've gone a step further. We haven't said, are we minded?
No, I
We've said the
understand. So we're going
recommendation's
back on what
tabled.
we've already said. Yeah.
So the way I would
This
read
is where we did hope we were going to have legal advice as well in the chamber, but we haven't got it. Okay.
I'm not, if what the chamber feels and chair and the professional officers feel as well.
I think what we were trying to drive at was a minded to, because I am very aware that this is quite a difficult, complex application. And Councillor Driver.
I mean, I understand the difficulty of the situation, and actually, given that it is overturning a recommendation of officers, that the opportunity to reflect on that does seem like a sensible thing, given where we are, if that is something that the Constitution can now allow us to do. Sorry?
I don't think it does either.
Chair, I don't think it does.
I don't think it does.
I don't know where we are. At the moment, I would read it. When I was chair, it was, I would recommend it. Or
No, I don't think.
Yeah,
I think
I
it would be.
understand
I think
Sleep
it would
in
be.
your own bed.
It was. That was. You know, I was trying to get a feeling for the room when the proposal came. Perhaps I shouldn't have taken a vote on that, but we did. Okay, so for that reason, yes.
Sorry, just but I'm also minded for what Miss Bradley has said.
It's a really difficult one.
Yeah. It's no Mr. Johnson either. So
We could do. Yeah, actually, if you could do that, Councillor Lane, read that piece out, because we've got some further advice on here.
We've had some further advice. So it's quoted as the following a recent decision by the council to agree a recommendation from the Overview and Scrutiny Committee, the Constitution bracket and the relevant operating protocols bracket now includes a provision to be invoked where a planning committee is minded to overturn an officer recommendation for approval. This means that after debate there must be a clear view emerging of a wish to overturn, and this may involve a vote to that effect. The break, as it is known, is intended to be invoked one step short of an actual decision to refuse in those circumstances, and provides for a deferment to allow officers to consider and report back on all relevant implications of the proposed decision. A report will then come back to a subsequent meeting of the committee. At the subsequent meeting, consideration of an application will not be rerun. There will be no further public speaking, and the committee will proceed towards a decision. The only exception to the break being invoked is where officers advise that no useful purpose would be served by a deferment, and the committee will then be free to proceed to a decision in the usual way.
Thank you very much, Councillor Lay. So I just conferred with the officer there. There is a useful purpose to it, so that we can look at how we can move this forward for the committee, for it to come back to the committee, and for officers to look at this. So I think the minded to is, it's quite interesting, because you're quite right, Councillor Lag, and in the guidance that goes with it, it talks about not taking the vote, but actually remembering back to overview and scrutiny, which, because I should do very well, the whole idea of minded to is that you could take a vote, because the idea is that the room is minded to refuse, but we don't actually refuse if we. So no, it says even if a vote is taken to indicate that. So.
can I just ask? I am picky. Does it say where a recommendation, or is where it is minded to refuse?
No, it says. Let's have the bit. A wish to overturn, and this may even involve a vote to that effect, that we wish to overturn, go against the officer's decision. So my interpretation of that would be, that's the vote that we took.
I look at it the other way. I would say that we had a recommendation. We should have maybe.
It is semantics. And
apologies, because we've got to get it right. Sorry, but it's if you wish to overturn. So, do you wish to overturn? Yep. We wish to overturn that, so then you don't go to the next stage, which is to vote.
Yeah.
So, but I'll go along with the Constitution.
I think I feel more safe with that I did preamble about trying to read what the room was saying. So
as long as it's safe and it's legal, there's no dramas, is there?
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll go to the constitutional break. Is my decision on that. So we'll invoke that. So, is there anything else?
Decision.
Yeah. No, there's been no firm decision, but we were minded to how we would go, and actually I did preamble it with trying to understand where we were minded to go. Councillor Driver.
I was trying to move things along and just to arrive at a position. So that's why I put it to.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Abigail.
But actually, it was, as I say, preambled with that. So I think, given the exact wording there, that I think we're safe with that. And if we're not, somebody will take me out to the car park at some point and sort me out. But anyway, hopefully we're able to move forward with that with the break and take this back to officers. Okay, thank you very much for that. I think, is there anything else that I need to do, Mrs. Bradley, with regard to that? I think we're completely settled on that. I want to make sure I've got that all nailed down now.
In terms of potential reasons for it.
Oh, reasons for refusal. So we go back to the reasons for refusal. We still need the reasons for being minded to refuse. So I actually might turn to Councillor Spenceley, I think, because he did talk about this, and they are his residents that
Well, I think personally I would have appreciated a site visit for members, because my feeling was the report left a lot of questions unanswered, and I wasn't comfortable voting yes for this with the information in front of me and with what I've seen. But the key thing for me is the flood risk, because this is a high risk flood area, and although people may not be directly involved, large skips, bins, etc., which may or may not be untethered, could be involved, and the report itself does acknowledge that something needs to be done about them. And also the hard standing reduces the value of a site as a sort of soak away, and we've all seen, or a lot of us have seen, the flood modelling for Heybridge and the various potential risks to that area, particularly in this location.
I think also I'd add that the main concern would be residential amenity.
Yes.
That would be my main concern, and the noise impact and residential amenity. Because I think they're the things that we really need to consider. We can come back on this. Yeah. Is that enough? Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mrs. Bradley. So anybody who wants to stay for the rest, you're more than welcome, or you can leave and get on with your evening. I'll give you that break to do so. Thank you very much for your attendance. Thank you.
No idea what happened, but
Yes, it's moving on. We're going back to officers with it. So it's deferred.
thank you.
In effect. Thank you.
Sorry, Chair. I've never experienced. I've seen this in another planning committee. So will it come back this evening or the next planning committee?
It'll come in at a future committee.
Right, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Good evening. Right. Okay. We move on to item 6. Report 25002544 Skate Park, the Promenade Park at Park Drive, Maldon. So, okay, I've got the wrong thing written there, but never mind. So, Mrs. Bradley, please present the report.
Thank you, Chair. This is an application for the installation of a concrete skateboard park, lighting, benches and a shelter following the removal of the existing skate park. So the site is at Promenade Park and it is an existing skate park at the moment. What I've tried to do here is just show this is the location of the skateboard park, and just in relation to the splash park down here and the pirate ship in this location, just to give you an idea of what we're looking at, and the car park for the Promenade Park in this area here. So this is a site plan. So the land take for this is slightly bigger than the existing skate park that's there at the moment, but it's, as I say, in the same area, just slightly larger. It is a concrete skate park, so it is made with metal structures underneath with the concrete poured on top of it. It includes a number of, I don't even know what you call them, skate jumps, ramps and that sort of thing. I should have looked into skateboarding a little more than before I came to, yeah, that's the one, half pipes. It might not be half pipes though, so I can't say that. So it does include the skateboard park area here, and some seating provided in this location here. This just shows the seating, so there is a covered area at the moment. And apologies, I've got no idea what's happened to the wording over here. It was looking fine before. So there is a covered area for seating and some other seating areas along here, which, as I say, is on the eastern side of the site. As you'll see in the members' update, we did receive some details in regarding to fences and gates, because we did have a condition in there. Now that we've got the details, they are exactly as what we've got in the rest of Promenade Park, so I've got no objection to that. So I've suggested we delete condition 5 in its entirety, and there is no other soft landscaping apart from the laying of grass, which is entirely consistent with the surrounding area. Just a few photos of the skate park at the moment. So this is from the southwestern corner of the site, and this is the sort of covered seating type area at the moment, which would be replaced by the other seating area. This is just looking from the northwestern corner of the site, with the car park over in this location to the right, and another one just from the eastern side of the site looking back towards the mini golf area in this location. So the proposal is to provide an updated replacement for the existing skateboard park with, as I say, a modest expansion in the land take. It would provide a much improved community facility, and it accords with planning policies for the area, which do focus on cultural and visitor attractions. And accordingly, it's recommended for approval subject to conditions with that deleted condition 5. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Bradley. Okay, so we don't have any public speakers on this one, so I'll move to the debate. Councillor Burwood.
Thank you, Chair. We recently had a presentation at Heybridge Parish Council, where I am and some of the other members of the parish council, from a wonderful young man, aged about 11 or 12, who was trying to get a skate park built in Heybridge. I'd love this to be in Heybridge, but there we go. And he was very, 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 very excellent about his descriptions of this and and how it was needed within the district. So I would very much approve this and would recommend we vote approval. Thank you.
Well, okay, well that was... so yes, I think I'll take the proposal and the second for the... So that was, you proposed approval, Councillor Burwood, and you seconded that, Councillor Spenceley. So who else did I have to speak? Councillor Jennings next, thank you.
Thanks, Chair. Just referring to the site plan, there's a couple of areas. So the skate park, the car park that is currently adjoining it to the top right of that picture. I'm presuming that because of the extension to the skate park, the little kind of curved road on the bottom right of that picture is no longer going to be in use. So are we going to like re-turf that area, or what's going to happen to that road area?
Yeah, it's not shown on this, but yes, it would just be simply re-turfed.
Okay.
So there is a slight loss to the car parking area, and that would be...
And presumably the entrance to the car park will be on the main kind of road that goes between the valley and the current car park. That'll be the entrance to the extension car park.
Can you see where I'm showing my cursor? Yeah.
Yes.
Is that the road?
That's the road between the valley and the current skate park. So there's going to be an entrance to the car park that extends to the top right of that, on that part.
Yeah, there is currently an entrance along there, and that would be retained in this location here.
Okay,
so
good.
that the skate park, the red line does extend further, but the actual area that wouldn't impede that access.
Is there any loss of disabled parking spaces? Because that's where currently a lot of disabled people park in that area.
The main disabled parking spaces are in this location here, so they would be untouched by that.
Right. Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Burrow-Cook, thank you.
Thank you, Chair. I just have a question about condition 5, which, whilst the fences and gates obviously are the same as throughout the park, and I have no objection to that style, it does say in condition 5 about soft landscaping, including the timing of planting. Now, that's not just grass. From the plans, it looks like the area is quite remiss of planting in terms of flower beds and things like that, which are also consistent within Prom Park in other areas. And I'm worried and mindful in terms of the fact that whilst we have a skate park, we also want it to be attracting for biodiversity and things like that. Grass does not attract pollinators or anything like that, and there is a real opportunity here to include planting around the outside, because people might want to sit, but they also want to be in a nice environment that also is complementary to the park. So it's just that element of soft planting, a little bit of understanding as to what that soft planting is, and if that condition is removed, then that planting condition is also removed. Thank you.
Come back, yes, please.
Thank you. I spoke with the applicant after they saw that condition, and they said that they weren't proposing any planting. It was just the turf. In that location, it is heavily used. When I went out there, I thought that, you know, turf would be satisfactory in that location. So that's why I didn't require any soft landscaping to be proposed.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Bradley. Okay, do you want to come? Yes, of course. I was just going to ask Councillor Barham-Cook if he wants to come back.
If I may come back, just because there is seating there, and obviously the seating is not just going to be used by those using the skate park, the seating is actually going to be used by others as well. And I just think if we are including re-landscaping of areas, that we should be making them with attractive pollinating beds and things like that, or beds that can actually be utilised as a responsible you know, authority. Thank you.
Do you want to come back, Mrs. Bradley?
Thank you. If members were so minded, we could retain part of condition 1 to require details of soft landscaping, but my computer's just died, so just give me a moment to get back into it.
Condition 5.
Yeah, I just want to have a look at the wording so that I've got it in front of me.
Right. Members, please, thank you. Sorry, I will come. We'll come to you, members.
Apologies.
No,
so
that's okay.
at the moment, condition 5 is worded, full details of any fences and gates together with details of soft landscaping, including timing of parking, shall be submitted to and approved in writing by the local planning authority prior to any works occurring above ground level at the application site. The only concern there is timing, that I understand works are due to commence imminently. So we could require it to be within, it does say above ground level, but I would imagine those works would occur very quickly. So we could say within a certain time period of works commencing, you know, 6 months, the details are submitted or something like that.
You can come, come back quickly.
I'll just come back. It's just also, you know, when we look at condition 4, it mentions hedges and 5 years from the completion of development or a tree or hedge shown to be retained is removed, destroys or dies become that, you know, it may not necessarily be flowers, but it could be hedging and things like that, because that is also in condition 4.
Okay, thank you. Any more you'd like to say about that, Mrs. Bradley? No. Okay. I'm going to move to Councillor Lagan. Okay, thank you.
There's a couple of things here. I think that the design of the skateboard and the time it's took to get it is now it's here is fantastic for the youth of the area and the district. There's been consultation with youth groups. I went to West Maldon Community Centre with my baseball cap backwards and my big baggy trousers on, and they called me out. One of the things I'm really pleased is 300 metres away from residential, because these things are noisy. Yeah, they are noisy, yeah. So it's in a right place. Very unusual. I disagree with my fellow councillor. I think it's a skate park, and it's not an area where people are going to sit. The people who use it, and it's not just used, because there was a really interesting thing that happened to me a few weeks ago with the one in West Maldon, and there was this gentleman who was probably a little bit younger than me, pushed this massive motorbike right up, down, put to West Maldon, and I'm thinking, what's going on here? And he took his helmet off and he put it down. He had a cigarette, filthy habit, and then he got out a skateboard and he went up and down this thing, and I'm thinking it's not just, you know, I've been so guilty of assuming that there is a certain clique of people that would use this. So I think it's got a really broad reach. I think we can certainly, with the fences, with the hedges, with condition 4, over 5 years will help beautify the area. But it is a skate park, and I think it's a huge asset to the district, especially to the prom, which is a shock for most people now because I don't really want to touch the prom. But it is a real asset for the youth, and I commend the officers who have worked tirelessly to get the funding for this, to get this thing into reality, and to close off the last of the 106s. So absolutely back it to the hill. So, thank you.
Thank you. So I've got a couple more councillors to speak. Thank you, Councillor Lagan. Councillor Swindle.
Hello, yes, I just want to say what an amazing thing this is for the youth in Maldon. Great to hear that the older generation may well use it as well. I do believe also the seating area is just for the people that are likely to be watching what's going on, maybe, rather than going to visit or maybe have a picnic there or whatever. So I think turf would probably be good enough. The reason I put my hand up first was about lighting, but I've now seen it in the report, so I must have missed it the first time I read it. So it says about lighting. Will that lighting extend to the seated area or just be concentrated actually on the skate park? And also, what litter facilities are there? Litter bins and things available? Good. Thank you.
We do require the lighting scheme to be submitted, so that we don't have full details of that yet, so that's to come. We don't have any details of litter bins because it's not normally a material planning consideration. There are certainly a lot of litter bins in Promenade Park though, from when I've used it myself.
Thank you. Okay, I'm going to move to Councillor Jennings now.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to say that through my full-time job, I get a lot of people coming in and asking about the skate park, and it's going to be great to inform those people when they come in that this is now a very real thing that's going to be happening. And a lot of them had input into how the skate park should look as well, which is really good because it then belongs to the community, made by members of the community, which is great. So yeah, well done to the officers. It's great stuff.
So do I have anybody else who wants to speak on this? No? Okay, so we have an approved, a seconded recommendation to approve on the table already. I'm mindful of Councillor Burrell-Cook's request for that condition. How do we feel about that? Are you happy to proceed?
Yes, I am, and I take on board everybody's comments, including the fact that this is fantastic. And I do think softening fencing and things like that, and whether it is just a hedge on the outside, that will also help with noise as well, because it does dull, vegetation does dull noises. So, if we know they're noisy, we know things like that, but a low hedge that can be maintained is also very beneficial for biodiversity as well in terms of habitat in that area. So that I really take on board Councillor Lagan and the other members' comments as well.
So I am going to come to Councillor Driver, but I was also going to ask Councillor Burwood as proposer if he was prepared to accept that condition.
No. These places are industrial. They attract youth. Okay. They are not there for, and I know what Councillor Legan said about the occasional older member of our local community may well be using it, but the idea is that if we soften and beauty it, it's not going to work for the local youth. Okay. It really won't.
Okay, thank you very much, Councillor Burwood. So we've established that. Councillor Driver.
I was going to make a similar comment. I remember some years ago having some responsibility for organising the position of paths around a school, and we were advised do not put any paths in until the kids have been there for some time, because they will take their own route, and if you put some nice planting in, they'll be walking straight over the top of it, because it's not the route that they would take to get to the skate park. So I'm sure we can put some bushes in, and I'm sure there'll be some element of that. But primarily, in my mind, this is primarily a skate park, and that's what it needs to be. And I think it's great that we've got this. We just need to make sure elsewhere in the park that we're doing all the things that Councillor Cook is suggesting, and we need to make sure that we're doing that in abundance. But I think in this area, that's not the prime focus for this area. Thank you.
Okay, so we have that proposal duly seconded to approve on the table just as it is. So can I have a show of hands, please, for those who are in favour? Okay, and against and abstaining, with one abstention, which is Councillor Burrell Cook. Okay, that's fantastic. So it's duly passed. So thank you very much, members. That's approved. So if we move to item 7, which you'll be pleased to know, members, any other items of business that the chairperson decides are urgent, and currently I have none. Apart from maybe getting home. But anyway, on that matter, we now move to the closure of the meeting. Members, thank you for your contributions this evening. I now draw the meeting to a close at, and we have 20:35, actually, 8:35 p.m. As the meeting is now closed, members are advised to please leave promptly. Thank you.
Yes.